Growing up in a toxic family. How to recognize the signs and break free. Did you grow up in a toxic family? It's a difficult question to answer. No one wants to admit that the very people who raised them may have caused lasting trauma. After all, our family is supposed to be our safe space. They're meant to protect us from the outside world and comfort us when we're hurt or when life feels unfair. But who protects us from our own family's toxicity? What do you do when the harmful behavior is coming from inside your own home? Most people understand that severe mistreatment, like physical abuse or neglect, has a lifelong impact on a child. But what about the more subtle, toxic behaviors, the harmful parenting tactics that are much less obvious? A toxic family is one where ongoing negative behaviors cause emotional damage to children, often leading them to become insecure or unstable adults. It's a situation where the roles get reversed, where parents fail to support their children, creating an unhealthy environment. Many of these families look perfectly fine on the outside, but behind closed doors, a dysfunctional dynamic takes over. And just because the behavior isn't seen by others or doesn't fit the legal definition of abuse, doesn't mean it isn't preventing a child from growing into a healthy, confident adult. So, what causes a family to become toxic? And what are the long-term consequences? Why does a family become toxic? Can a toxic person in your family be understood? Usually their behavior stems from deeper issues. The following patterns are common in toxic families. One family member struggles with a psychological disorder, emotional distress, or addiction. There's an abuse of power or an authoritarian parenting style. One or both parents are absent or refuse to accept their responsibilities. There's a clear lack of affection and emotional connection. There might be underlying physical or psychological abuse. Communication is poor or non-existent. Parents are inconsistent and unreliable. One or both parents suffer from low self-esteem. There are impossibly high expectations for a partner or children. If you recognize these behaviors in yourself or others and want to improve the situation, seeking professional guidance is a crucial step. What are the consequences of a toxic family life? One of the most damaging habits is placing labels on children. They get called the difficult one, the complainer, the shy one, or even positive-sounding labels like the smart one or the sweet one. These labels have a huge emotional impact. Hearing them over and over, children start to believe they're true, which shapes their identity in negative ways. Overprotection is another common issue. It can make children feel insecure and incompetent as they grow older, because they were never allowed to handle things on their own. This can lead to a strong dependency on their parents, making it hard to make confident, independent decisions in adulthood. A lack of communication also destroys emotional bonds. Simply living under the same roof doesn't guarantee a strong relationship. When there's a toxic person in the family, everything can start to fall apart. Furthermore, dysfunctional families often have constant conflict. This isn't normal disagreement, it's a pattern of disrespect, verbal or physical aggression, manipulation, or emotional blackmail. While every family argues when conflict is constant, it creates a toxic atmosphere. Finally, placing excessively high demands or expectations on children generates tension and pressure, which can lead to low self-esteem and prevent them from developing their own unique personality. How to recognize a toxic family. Living with a toxic family is incredibly stressful. It can drain you mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's vital to learn how to set boundaries and protect your well-being. A toxic family doesn't just make you unhappy. It can corrupt your outlook on life and undermine your healthier relationships. preventing you from seeing how much better things could be. An ideal family is a group of people you can count on, people who love, nurture, and support you. But growing up with a toxic person often teaches a child that their opinions, needs, and desires don't matter. As they grow up, they often lack self-confidence and suffer from low self-esteem, making depression and anxiety a daily reality. Adult children from toxic families need support to understand they are not inadequate and to help them build healthy relationships and self-worth. Often the toxic person in the family, usually a parent, acts charming and generous in public, while being controlling and abusive in private. The home becomes a place of fear, not safety, and a core rule emerges: no one is allowed to talk about the problems. Everyone has to pretend that things are perfect. Is there always a scapegoat in a toxic family? Here are 10 common signs of toxic parenting dynamics. 1. They shield their children from all pain. They try to prevent any and all discomfort, which leaves children unable to cope with setbacks as adults. 2. They invalidate their children's feelings. Phrases like "stop crying" or "you're overreacting" teach kids that their emotions are wrong and should be hidden. 3. They only praise achievements. When kids are only praised for getting perfect grades or winning, they learn that their worth is based on what they accomplish, not who they are. 4. They project their own dreams onto their children. When parents push their kids to live out their own unfulfilled ambitions, those children may grow up with resentment and an inability to make their own choices. 5. They expect perfection. Setting high standards can be good, but demanding perfection makes children feel like they will never be good enough. 6. They use fear to control their children. Using intimidation, whether it's a harsh look or a threat, teaches children to make decisions based on fear, not on what's right. In a toxic family, one child often becomes the scapegoat. 7. They compete to be the favourite parent. This dynamic ultimately hurts the child, who may learn to manipulate others to get what they want in their adult relationships. 8. They use guilt as a weapon. Constantly reminding children of sacrifices or implying "if you loved me, you would" teaches them to be easily manipulated. 9. They give children too much responsibility. When parents rely on their kids for emotional support or to make adult decisions, it overwhelms them and can lead to anxiety in adulthood. 10. They are emotionally unavailable. Parents who are constantly distracted or too stressed to offer emotional support hinder their child's emotional development, making it difficult for them to form healthy relationships later in life. How do you feel around your toxic family? Here are more signs you can spot in your daily interactions. 1. They are verbally or physically abusive. 2. They make you feel like you can never do or say anything right. 3. They use gaslighting to make you question your own sanity or reality. 4. They lack empathy for your feelings. 5. They constantly play the victim. 6. You feel drained or uncomfortable in their presence. 7. They tear you down more than they build you up. 8. They use personal information against you. 9. They are controlling. 10. They manipulate you for their own gain. 11. You feel like you're walking on eggshells around them. 12. They have anger issues. 13. They use passive-aggressive behavior. 14. There are endless, pointless arguments. 15. They try to isolate you from others. 16. In a toxic family, there is always a scapegoat. How to escape the grip of a toxic family? The worst thing you can do is nothing. By staying silent, you allow the behavior to continue, and your mental and physical well-being will suffer. Stop sacrificing parts of yourself just to keep the peace. For your own sake, you must set boundaries. You teach your family how to treat you by deciding what is and is not acceptable. Healthy people will naturally respect those lines. Stay firm. If you waver, things will go right back to the way they were. And if someone gets angry at you for setting a boundary, it's a sign they don't respect you. That is their problem, not yours. If you don't come from a healthy family, create a healthy family of your own through friendships and chosen relationships. Healthy boundaries include taking time for yourself to do what you enjoy. Never let anyone make you feel guilty for prioritizing your well-being. Some people will never change or respect the limits you set. In those cases, you may need to create distance between yourself and that family member. Walking away isn't easy, but sometimes it's the only answer. You aren't doing it to hurt them, you're doing it to protect yourself. Let go of the guilt. You cannot change the past, but you can take control of your future. Never compromise your own emotional and physical health by tolerating abuse from anyone. Don't be your toxic family's scapegoat.